Hello, adventurers of all shapes and sizes. My name is Chance. Welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 19th episode of our Feat series. Today we're going to be taking a look at Fey Teleportation. It is perfect for those high elves out there who just need to get out of a tight spot right away and want to do it in style. It is found in the Xanathar's Guide to Everything handbook, and it is definitely worth getting if you don't own it already. That being said, guys, let's take a quick look at how feats work and operate. You essentially get a feat every 4 levels in place of your ability score improvement, meaning you can pick one or the other. Sometimes it's better to go with an ability score improvement, other times a feat might suit your needs. It ultimately comes down to playstyle. Feats are essentially extra features, abilities, and expertise you can add to your character and make them more your own. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the description for Fey Teleportation. It might be worth noting that there is a prerequisite for this. You gotta be a high elf. You can't be a half elf, you can't be a wood elf, you can't be anything like that. You gotta be a high elf in order to get this. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the description. Your study of high elven lore has unlocked Fey power that few other elves possess except your eladrin cousins. Draw on your Fey ancestry. You can momentarily stride through the Feywild to shorten your path from one place to another. You gain the following benefits. Increase your intelligence or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You learn to speak, read, and write Sylvan. You learn the Misty Step spell and can cast it once without expending a spell slot. You regain the ability to cast it in this way when you finish a short or long rest. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for this spell. Very cool stuff. Let's take a look at the walkthrough and break it down a little bit more. So the intelligence to charisma increase, not a whole lot to really address there. I'd recommend putting it in whichever one is closest to the modifier increase. If they're at the same point, just use whatever you find yourself going more frequently with, which for most characters would be charisma. The ability to speak, write, and read Sylvan is also really cool. I don't really think they had to put it in there, but it is nice and campaign dependent. This is very cool. And the Misty Step spell. If you are not familiar with how Misty Step works, I'll read you the spell description because it's literally a sentence. Briefly surrounded by silvery mist, you teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. Really cool stuff there. Honestly, I really like this. I find this to be really solid. Let's take a look at my personal thoughts for it. I thematically love the idea of a rogue having this, just because the ability to the whole mist movement teleportation thing is very rogue-esque, kind of like throwing a smoke bomb at the ground and then disappearing only to reappear somewhere else. I think that's really cool. In terms of who benefits the most from this mechanically, I gotta say probably the spellcasters out there. I think the Hexblade Warlock would probably gain the most from this, if I'm being honest. So spellcasters gain from it simply because if you're surrounded or someone gets a jump on you and gets a surprise round and you're in a really rough spot, this is a surefire way to escape without taking any attack of opportunities. So that's really cool there. The reason why I think the Warlock or the Hexblade Warlock in particular might benefit from this is if you're a Hexblade Warlock, you're in the thick of combat. That being said, your hit point die really isn't that large. So if your Armor of Agathis runs out and you're almost dead and you're surrounded by enemies and you've already used up your spell slots, so you just need a way to escape right away, this is the way to do it, hands down. That being said, if you have any crazy ideas or uses for this feat, or if you have any builds or cool stories involving it, I'd really like to hear them down beneath, and I know everyone else tuning in would as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys, and as always, happy adventuring.